quick addendum to the Bitcoin and Ethereum episode. I forgot to look at the SPY chart, so let me just do that real quick here and say, oh, look at all these funny drawings that we had on the chart. Was this from the live voice chat session last week or whatever? I'm not sure. I know that this was, from a wee while ago anyway. And if I just hide the drawings off here, you can see that this area has given us that slight sort of cup with handle aspect to this price action here. As we can see, dropping down, filling in a few of the gaps as well that we spoke about recently, and it's been kind of negative price action for us while Bitcoin has been strong. So there's a little bit of a warning for us in a sense. It's likewise here with the Dow Jones, but of course if we push on past these zones then things get interesting again, but we're not doing that quite yet, although we have got a positive day on both of these charts right now for this. But let's just take a look over here at the NASDAQ, which has obviously got more of these technological companies involved in it, and it's somewhat closer to the concept of Bitcoin because it uses technology. Great. And you can see same idea on the go here. It's not a twin peak exactly, on any of them currently, but there's the potential for this to be the case. And we've seen this pulling back the way, coming down to a reasonable area. If we see the prices able to push on past these zones, then perhaps we can get a move up the way. And of course, that would be kind of ludicrous in terms of the way that the world is working and the lack of productivity in it and everything else. But say you did get something like one of these things, that would be interesting up there to all those big highs. And of course, then you're looking at 14K Bitcoin possibly and all the rest of it too. But right now we've had this negativity. Can we see it turn around at the 382 just here in terms of the NASDAQ? The other ones would be just the same, more or less. Or will we go on down for further retracement? Ideally it wouldn't go past the 11457 area, down, a wee bit from here. Or else we'll be looking at kind of failing this pattern. Of course, then you could still hold out for it up to the 618, but you would need to see it want to see it turn around somewhere between here and the 11450 area to go towards the top side. Now, this is interesting because it goes against the grain of what we're seeing with Bitcoin. Actually, maybe just make this episode a quick standalone one so we can just introduce the concept real quickly. So we're seeing this in terms of Bitcoin. We've moved up towards our high up there, 12,500 area, moved up towards that. Not quite done it yet. If we were to see a pullback here, then in terms of like if we were to follow on after the SPY, if this is what you were talking, if this is what you're looking at, looking down to sort of the 382 to 618 zones in there, sort of 11450, perhaps, movements past 1183, 11850, giving you that first sort of indication that could be this sort of cup with handle idea on the go here between these twins as a continuation pattern. And of course, then movements down to the 618 start to invalidate that. But of course, you could cope with it so long as you didn't see the prices go down to actually fill in that CME gap in there at 9,700 area or so. Of course, if this does turn out to be symmetric ascending triangle like that, and we saw movements off the back of it, movements off the back of this, and we stuck this over here somewhere, then it would take you down to the, depending on when you broke out of it, it would take you down, of course, to these areas down here, looking to the left and all that. But of course, if we move on up past these areas, same sort of dealio. Now, how does this all add together when there's only two touches at the top? Of course, it doesn't really make sense in terms of the ascending triangle, but in terms of looking at the sort of the cup with handle concept, should we stay above these areas, then then push on past it, then that's of course fine. And it's the same sort of measured move that you do. It's always just a sort of different perspective on the one little angle of things. So that would be your sort of your positive case scenario based off of the traditional and stocks. They've done everything that we've wanted to see them do so far, and they've come back in and filled in the gap that I actually wanted to see them fill in, specifically as we've talked about in terms of the voice chat that we had recently on the Discord, etc. So we've done all of that perfectly. Will we see this move towards the top side? And if we do, how are we going to see the money flow for things? Because if you want to talk talk about the Bitcoin dominance chart as being like an indication of money flow, Bitcoin dominance here, then we're at a point where perhaps, the money flows away from Bitcoin now, whether it flows all into alts and this drops down the way, or it stays within Bitcoin and the alts, just get their own sort of funding sources, if you like, or indeed if money flows out of Bitcoin and into stocks and shares and whatever else, then perhaps, we see this fade down the way in the face of in the face of the other market kind of sustaining its prices in dollar terms versus their Bitcoin counterparts regaining some of those losses over the last couple of days, that sort of idea. That'll do in terms of that side of things of analysis. Of course, this is a bit of a bonus episode then, so I'll stick it in the bonus coin section. My name's been Rocky Outcrop. Share it with your friends, youtube.com/Rocky Outcrop. FOMO free, greed free, technical analysis. There's different things happening in the market right now, which you can look at with a slightly different perspective if you want to get a keener eye on how things are going. But of course, I've got the Bitcoin episode itself and the Ethereum one published as well today, so go take a look at that for good information. Catch you next time.